An unknown lake with big bass, big water, and big cover. A welcome challenge or a recipe for disaster.
Oh, he got off!
Then, add the pressure of a one-on-one battle with one of the most respected names in bass fishing, and it's time to go big, or go home, or go commando. The mission is simple. 2 experienced anglers. 2 different battle plans. Going head to head on one unfamiliar body of water. Steve Pennaz takes us to the front line of fishing to learn the lessons of the Lake Commandos.
You sure this is the right road?
Yes, I am. I see the lake.
I remember the last time we did this, just pick a lake at random. You remember we got lost for like an hour and a half, could not find the ramp.
For Lake Commandos, new water is never intimidating. New water means a new challenge and an opportunity to put proven skills, tried and true techniques, lifelong experience, and new ideas to the ultimate test in unfamiliar surroundings. A commando also never backs down from a fight, and today Steve Pennaz will go head-to-head with legendary fishery biologist Hal Schramm. Their mission, finding and catching midsummer largemouth bass on big water in heavy cover.
Today's lake is a popular muskie and walleye lake, and I've been on it several times. I'll be right up front and honest with you. But I've never fished largemouth bass here, and I've never been to the section of the lake that we're going to today. And tell you what, I'm excited about it because it's a brand new ball game.
Steve and I have fished a lot together. We've always had fun. What we like doing the most is going to some new water, combining our knowledge, putting it together, figuring out how to catch those fish. Today, I got 3 goals. Find some fish, have a whole lot of fun catching them, and catch a little bit more than Steve fishing in his backyard.
The Lake Commandos are never afraid of a little challenge, but there's nothing little about this body of water. Here are the details. Over 112,000 acres, more than 80% of which is less than 35 feet deep. It's classified mesotrophic, which means water clarity is toward the lower end of the scale, with the slight tannic or rust-colored stain that is common in natural northern lakes. Fish habitat is off the charts, with abundant structure, including massive main lake points, hundreds of secondary points, well-defined weed-line breaks, mid-lake humps, and miles of mid-depth flats. Available cover is also abundant, including man-made structure, deep rocks, submerged weeds, and massive aquatic fields of thick wild rice. The primary forage base consists of yellow perch and ciscos, with rusty crayfish also present. And the dominant predators in the lake include walleye, muskie, and pike, with largemouth bass numbers considered low. That's the battleground the Lake Commandos are facing. What would your plan of attack be?
The intel we have on this lake is these fish relate to, the bass at least, relate to shallow, heavy cover. I like to flip. It's fun, it's exciting, and I love that strike. I'm going to be flipping a havoc bait. I'm going to be fishing chigger craws, both craw baits, either Texas rig or on jigs. I'm going to fish it on a 7-foot rod, medium heavy, and 50 to 65 pound braid, because once you hook these fish, you need to get them out of there. It's just flip as fast as you can, run down to cover, and look for the holes.
If we're right about the largemouth being back in these bays where we expect it to be heavy vegetation, how do we effectively cover that? Well, it's got to be weedless. It needs to be fast. I'm thinking topwater. Something like a topwater frog bite. It's weedless. Cover, make a lot of casts, cover a lot of water, move the bait quickly. We'll see if the bass like it.
It's midsummer. It's hot. Water temperatures are in the low 80s, which is very high for this area. I expect these fish to be tight to cover, and flipping's going to bring them out.
Why a frog? I can fish it fast, I can cover a lot of water, I can cover the thick stuff, I can cover the thin stuff. It's a great way to quickly see what's under the water. The lake at first glance, that's what every angler fishing a new lake has. What does it look like? We pulled out, it's a little bit wavy. I look over water, I can barely see the other side of the lake. I looked around, I saw emergent vegetation. Let's go give it a try.
The largemouth mission gets underway.
That's a nice start.
And it doesn't take much time for the topwater frog to start running up the score.
They're getting bigger, Steve.
Heavy fish. I'm not giving up yet. You front boating me, I don't care.
I think I got a good one. Good enough for me.
Oh, jeez. All right.
All right, Froggy. Let's do one for the cameraman.
All right, you're officially having too much fun, Schramm. Beauty. Nice, fat, and that was a fun hit to watch. All right, I may be switching. How do you argue with topwater bites? You can't. Too much fun.
Lake Commandos is brought to you by Abu Garcia for Life, Trilene, Anglers Trust Berkeley Trilene, Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time, Nanofill, the next generation in fishing line, and by Fish Hound, when to go, where to go, what to throw. The Lake Commandos are on a largemouth mission, and early in the campaign, it's Hal Schramm's topwater pattern that is winning the battle.
Nice one.
Understanding where fish live and how to catch them is nothing new for Dr. Schramm, who has worked as a fisheries biologist for 35 years and has been a regular contributor to publications like North American Fisherman, Bassmaster, and In Fisherman for nearly 20 years.
Woohoo! Woohoo! One of the things that in building any pattern is when you start looking at the little features. What direction are you going? How fast are you going? What's the color you're using? Even the bites that you're getting can tell you whether you should look at different colors or not. And if you make changes, make big changes. If you're fishing deep and not getting bit, go shallow. If you're fishing white, go to black. Make big changes until you start getting the response, and then start fine-tuning from there.
Whoa, that's a big one. This is a big one. Oh, he got off.
Did you see a big one? Does anybody see a big one?
That was a bruiser, I saw it.
It was.
That's a little one now. I got him.
If you think that's the little one, I'll get the big one.
Oh, that big one. That was a big one, that first one.
Let's get two out of the hole.
Look at this.
Oh. Now that you got him cleared out.
That's a nice fish.
Nothing small about that, Steve.
No, but that one
that
ate it before was a giant.
4 inches of belly there.
Look at that. I gotta get the. I mean, look at the size of this bass. And talk about eating it. This thing was just chowing it down right now.
3 pounds. It's barely 16 inches long.
That's incredible. You know, I've had a chance to fish bass in a number of different lakes that have muskies in it, and it seems to me there's a little sub-pattern that I've noticed, and I want to put it to the test again today. It seems when there's big muskies roaming the outside weed lines, those bass, and I don't care how big those bass are, 4 or 5 pounds, they move up shallow. Is it a reaction to muskies? I don't know. I just know the fact that most of the bass in these lakes tend to be really, really shallow, probably because they want to avoid getting eaten.
Got him. That was one of those ones that they come up and they slurp it down. Just kind of quiet. Yeah, I got 50-pound spider wire on here so you can get them out of here.
That's what it takes.
Yeah, not a big fish, but you know what?
It's a fish.
It's not a bad fish though. I mean, look at that.
You know, you walk through your favorite sporting goods store, there's walls of line up there, lots of different colored boxes and things, and really line choice is a tough decision because there are some great options out there and you can really fine tune for your pattern. Today, braid was by far the best choice. It's super strong and super thin, and it was like a razor cutting through those weeds. Rice isn't as thick here.
Let's do something. Skip around the point if you want to do that hard edge. Turn around, go back.
I want to flip this.
All right.
So let's
flip the light stuff.
Yeah, I want to flip this
Okay.
stuff. So I want to just check it out. This is the Havoc Crawfatty, and what I like about this bait is if you can see how narrow it is, how thin it is, but how wide it's wide disc profile, big claws that move a lot. But if you look at it this way, it's a very thin bait. So when you get bit, you get a lot of hook clearance. That hook blows through here, and you got a lot of hook gap. So when you hook up, you've got a lot of holding power.
There are no fish here.
You don't like the spot, do you?
No, I don't.
You can go sit
don't.
down if you want.
You got 10 flips, that's one.
Oh. Captain Schramm. To me, this is a learning experience. I
Well,
want to
you
see.
know,
I want to see if that hard edge is the difference or not. There's no fish here in my butt. This is a good one. See, this is an area I like to. Look at the size of this one. This is the type of area I like to flip because
Yeah.
it's not a hard edge and there's a lot more stuff to it.
All right.
Look at this one, Schrammer. Oh, yeah.
5.
5, baby. 5.
I better get to work.
I love flipping.
All right.
I just love flipping. Look at that. Nice big clean
That's
fish.
3 unanswered fish.
Woo.
A good lake commando knows patterning fish on unfamiliar water is all about experimentation and detail. Plus, the open-minded willingness to change as conditions and locations change. Steve Pennaz waved the white flag earlier, giving up the flipping stick when the topwater frog was on fire. Now, as the cover thins and the light changes, it's time for Hal Schramm to surrender the frog in favor of the flipping stick.
You know, a lot of times when you're flipping, I like this broken cover. We got patches instead of a hard edge. It's just, it's more targets.
Well, Steve, there's a point there. The best cover for one technique might not be the best cover for 2, and maybe that's where the guy that's willing to work hard, pick up one rod for one habitat condition,
Yep.
and then go to something else for when a habitat changes. Maybe that's how they get a few more bites.
There's one. Right in that hole. Look at how green
I'd
this
say
fish is.
we're about even, assuming you can get them in the boat.
Look at that. That's 4 unanswered there, Mr. Schramm.
It is indeed 4 unanswered.
You know, I've never fished rice beds before. I fished vegetation like that in other parts of the country. This is a long, stringy, very soft weed that just tended to gum up all your presentations. I learned a couple things today. One, there is a difference between craw baits on which ones will go through that bait, and the fact that you could Texas rig something and get through a little bit easier than a jig, especially with that softer weeds. And I also understood or learned that the importance of casting parallel or with the direction of the weeds. Hey!
It's out of ways.
Yeah, it was.
I think with a low light, with the waves, it makes sense that they'd pull out. This guy's been caught before.
Has he? Oh yeah, look at that. Lip's been
A
caught.
bit deformed.
How big is it?
2.5.
Yeah,
You reckon?
yeah, nice fish.
Thank you.
You know, I gotta show you a cool new knot for braid that's been working extremely well for me. You just run the line through the hook eye like this, so it slides down, and put the line on one side of your hand like this, and then on the other, wrap it down like this, and then you just go around this 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Slide that line back through where your hand was, like this, and you'll tighten that knot up, up above the line, and watch what's really cool is it just slides on down. I got it wrapped around the hook here, and this wind is blowing. You just slide that on down and pull it tight. And what was interesting, when I tested it on the knot testing machine, I had 15-pound braid and it broke at 25 pounds, and I've never seen a knot. Of all the knots I've been testing, this is the strongest braid knot I've run into to date. And to be honest with you, I don't even know the name, but it's deadly. And what I'm doing too is I'm putting a rubber stopper down here. You can see that. Pull it tight. And this allows me to, I'm going to trim this now. But what it allows me to do is put that sinker and lock it in place so it doesn't move. And I can add a little hinge if I need to, but it's just a real clean way to get down there and not hang up on the grass.
There's one.
He came right out of that hole right there, Hal. He was on that hard edge. Oh, they're just a tank. Look at that thing.
Yeah. You look at them, they look so much bigger in the water because they're so deep.
They are.
So
They're
broad across the bottom.
creating a little havoc.
The Commando big water bass battle is heating up. Schramm started fast, but Pennaz is on a roll. Who's gonna be today's top Commando? Stay tuned. Lake Commandos is brought to you by Yamaha Marine. Reliability starts here. Gulp Alive. Looks, feels, tastes alive. Johnson Fishing. Not too kinky. No kinks ever. And by Humminbird. Simply, clearly better. In a classic search and destroy mission, the Lake Commandos have attacked an unknown piece of water and systematically pinned down a consistent largemouth bite. It started with emergent vegetation, but not all weeds were the same.
All right, let's go. This is clearly not it. Let's move. I don't like this mix.
All right.
I don't like this mix. We got pads in here. We got some sort of a pond weed. I like this mix though. A lot better than the other side. We got more depth. We got fewer vegetation.
Thick edges of massive wild rice beds became the primary target. And while the topwater frog produced early, as the day has gone on, flipping a soft plastic craw has become the ultimate weapon of choice.
All right.
Flipping, baby! Part of the race that we fished today was 2-3 feet of water. We got nothing there. As soon as we moved to that 4 to 6 feet, boom, we started catching lots of fish. 3 pounds of bass and 4 pounds of weeds. That's a 7-pounder, right? We started looking at areas that had multiple types of vegetation. Some pond weeds, some types of grass and pads and that sort of thing. Looked really bassy, but we got nothing there. We got this nailed down, Hal. You know what? We're starting to put the pieces together. We want clean weeds, we want depth, and we want a hard edge. And look at these fish that we're getting. I mean, we're starting to call the shots. That was 3 flips, 2 fish.
Hey, that's better fish.
Jeez Louise. You know, one of the most rewarding things in fishing is when things start coming together, and I think one of the reasons people love to fish is that they like the challenge. And they like being outdoors and they like fighting the elements, and one of the ultimate challenges is to go to a new body of water and see if your skills match up with that body of water. And once you learn it, I tell you what, it's really exciting. I challenge you to go commando. Hit a body of water that you haven't fished or haven't been on in years. Do your research before you hit the water and let your instincts and your fishing knowledge explode when you're out there. You'll start looking at things differently when you're fishing the waters that you're familiar with, and as a result, you're simply just going to start catching a lot more fish. I caught more fish than you did.
How many more did you catch?
You know, I lost count after, I don't know, after 3 or 4 above you. But, you know, I give you credit. You hung in. It was my backyard.
Well, it was your yard, and I'll give you credit for a guy that was down 6-2.
You were smoking me there at the beginning. You were. Yeah.
You had some unanswered fish, many of them.
But I'm like the turtle. You know, it's slow and steady. You were like the rabbit today.
Pull your head in.
See you later.
I'm Captain George Mitchell. This is Coastal Chaos. One of the biggest game changers in saltwater fishing has been super braids like spider wire. By now, most of you all use braid and you know all the great things about it, but what you don't know is the impact it's had on tackle. Simply put, you can go lighter and smaller and still have the power to conquer a big old moe bear. Today's braid is 3 to 5 times thinner than monofilament of the same tensile strength. I like that. It's nothing better to me than to take something like a legendary 50 International and load it with 80-pound spider wire. Conversely, I've got a 25 torque with 50-pound spider wire. Sure, it doesn't have the capacity to tackle a big old giant sea monster, but I can put 25 pounds of drag on this bad boy. Can you handle that? Even when spooling the larger stuff like 50s and 70s, I use spider wire below the mono top shot to increase the amount of line available and keep costs down when respooling. It's a lot less expensive to replace the top shot than it is a whole spool of line. Spinning reels have also evolved to meet the braid rage. I can take a medium action spinner, load it with 50 braid, target the snappers and groupers, deep jigging, works great. Bump it up a little bit to 80 on a heavy action spinner for pelagics, dolphin, tunas, perfect for that as well. Braid, because every advantage matters.